They called her just a woman, but she fought like 10,000 men, a queen who rode at the head of armies, sword in hand, carving an empire from the dust of Sahel, building walls that still stand centuries later, and leaving behind a legend so powerful that history itself struggles to separate truth from myth. This is the story of Amina of Zazzau, Nigeria's warrior queen, a story of blood, fire, courage, and memory. To understand Amina, we must first understand the world she was born into, the Hausa city-states of the 15th and 16th centuries, a network of powerful kingdoms in what is today northern Nigeria. Thriving in trade, politics, and warfare, each city a beacon of culture, learning, and ambition. Among these states was Zazzau, known today as Zaria, a kingdom that had long been a crossroads of trade routes stretching across the Sahara. Caravans of salt and gold, cola nuts and cloth, passing through its markets, merchants bargaining in the shadow of walls built not just for protection, but for pride. It was here, in this bustling and ambitious city-state, that a princess named Amina was born, daughter of Bakwa Turunku, a powerful queen who rules Zazzau on her own right, a rarity in a time when men almost always held power. From her mother, Amina inherited not only royal blood, but the courage to defy convention, to look at a world dominated by men, and declare herself equal, if not greater. From her youth, Amina was not like other princesses. She was trained in the arts of war, taught to wield a spear and sword, to ride horses into battle, and to study the strategies of defense and conquest. Oral traditions speak of her growing up in the palace of Zazzau, where while others played, she prepared, sharpening both her body and her mind for the destiny that awaited. When Bakwa Turunku died, succession in Zazzau was contested, but Amina's brother, Karama, rose to the throne, and Amina did not fade into the shadows. Instead, she commanded warriors, earned the respect of soldiers, and built her reputation on the battlefield. For 10 years, she fought alongside Zazzau's armies, proving herself not merely as royalty, but as a leader of men. And when her brother Karama died, it was Amina who claimed the throne. In a world that questioned a woman's place in power, Amina silenced the doubters not with words, but with war. She became queen, and from the moment she ascended the throne, her reign was defined not by peace, but by expansion, ambition, and conquest. The chronicles tell us in the year she became queen, Amina led her first military campaign, riding out with an army said to be over 20,000 strong, her banners flying, her sword flashing in the sun. She did not sit in palaces. She did not hide behind walls. Amina was on the front lines, leading raids, storming fortresses, and conquering towns. For 34 years, she fought almost continuously, pushing the borders of Zazzau farther than any ruler before or after. She marched north into Kano, south into Nup, west into Katsina, her cavalry striking fear into enemies, her armies seizing territories and demanding tribute. Wherever Amina went, the land trembled and her legend grew. One of her greatest legacies was the building of walls, great earthen fortifications that ringed towns and cities across her empire. These walls, known today as Amina's walls, were both defensive structures and symbols of dominance, reminders to all who looked upon them that this land was under protection and authority of the warrior queen. Many of these walls still stand today, silent echoes of her power, stretching across the landscapes of northern Nigeria, testimony to the vision of a ruler who thought not only of conquest, but a legacy. Oral tradition speaks of her as a woman of unmatched strength, unafraid to ride into the thick of battle, a queen who commanded loyalty and fear in equal measure. She was also known for her personal freedom, for taking lovers from among her allies and warriors, yet never binding herself in marriage, a choice that defied the norms of her time and added to the mystique of her story. For some, this made her scandalous. For others, it made her untouchable, a woman who belonged only to herself and to her destiny. Yet, as with all legends, the line between truth and myth blurs. Some historians debate the details of her reign, asking whether all the stories told her a literal history or whether Amina became a symbol of power, her story growing in the telling. Transformed by generations of griots and chroniclers who needed a hero, a heroine, to embody the strength of the House of States. But whether myth or fact, what cannot be denied is the impact of her memory. The city walls bear her name. The chronicles of Kano and Katsina speak of her campaigns. The people of Zaria still tell her story, and Nigerian history honors her as one of its most iconic figures. Even in the 21st century, Queen Amina is remembered as a symbol of female power, her statue standing in Lagos, her story retold in classrooms, her name evoked in debates about leadership, gender, and heritage. She is more than history. She is an idea, the idea that a woman in a time of kings could rise above all and carve her name in eternity. Her reign, whether 34 years as tradition says or less as some scholars argue, left an imprint that could not be erased. The borders she expanded opened trade routes. The tribute she collected enriched Zazzau. The walls she built protected generations. And the legend she became inspired centuries. Yet her end remains as mysterious as her life. Oral histories tell us she died in battle at Atagra, still fighting, still leading, still wielding her sword as she had from the very beginning. A warrior to the last breath. Others suggest different endings, but all agree that she died as she lived, in the thick of struggle, in the service of her kingdom, undefeated in spirit. And so the legend of Amina lives on, whispered in marketplaces, sung by griots, taught in schools, and immortalized in stone and bronze, a warrior queen who shattered boundaries, expanded horizons, and refused to be forgotten. To some, she is myth, to others history, but to all, she is power. Who was Queen Amina? She was the daughter of Zazzau, the conqueror of nations, the builder of walls, the breaker of chains, and the woman who dared to live as a king. Her story is not just about the past. It is about the present. A reminder that greatness knows no gender, that courage writes its own destiny, and that legends, once born, never die. This is the untold story of Nigeria's warrior queen, Amina of Zazzau, whose sword still glimmers in the memory of her people, whose walls still rise against the horizon, and whose name still echoes in the heartbeat of a nation. This is one of the echoes of our history, stories of struggle, triumph, and resilience. Subscribe to Echoes of Nigeria, and together, let's keep our heritage alive for generations to come.